Dear friends in Jesus Christ, today we are in the 26th Sunday, year B. The Gospel of today is taken from St. Mark chapter 9 and verses from 38 to 48. But verses 44 and 46 are omitted because these verses are mere repetitions of verse 48. Last Sunday, we read in the Gospel that there was an argument among the disciples on who is the greatest among themselves. And Jesus taught them the criteria to become the greatest. In the Gospel of today, we see the same argument to know who are the greatest. But now it is not about the personal greatness, but as a group. Are the disciples of Jesus really great or not? This is the question. John says to Jesus, "Teacher, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to prevent him because he does not follow us." So the mindset of the disciples were clear that only they can do the works of healing and casting out of demons in the name of Jesus, and others should not do. It must have been a frustrating experience to the disciples of Jesus that others could successfully cast out demons when they could not do it. And they thought that this is a problem. Disciples begin to see others who do the good works as their enemy just because they don't belong to the group of the disciples of Jesus. We see the same problem today. The world today has a following notion, that is, if you do not belong to me, then you are opposite to me and I am against you. If you do not share my ideology, if you are not speaking my language, if you are not belong to my ethnicity, if you are not from my culture, then you are against me. We come across many political parties today use this kind of positioning, naming and identifying others as enemies to each other. But Jesus gives entirely a different point of view to look at this. The disciples were saying, "They are not with us, so they are against us." But Jesus tells them, "Those who are not against us are with us." He made them to look at the problem in a very different way, in a very positive way. And again, Jesus begins to teach them lessons to be great, lessons of discipleship and lessons for Christians. We see 4 lessons here. When the disciples said, "Teacher, we saw someone driving out demons in your name, and we tried to prevent him because he does not follow us." They mentioned that he did not follow us. They did not say that he did not follow you. At times, dear brothers and sisters, we put ourselves at the center and make people to look at us and praise us than leading people to Christ. Thus, Jesus tells us to do works in his name. So the first lesson is to place Christ at the center of our lives. Second, Jesus is teaching about tolerance. Every person is different and has a right to have his or her own beliefs. Whether they are with us or not with us, We need to accept the good works of others. We have no right to judge others just because we don't share the same beliefs with them. The world is round, and two people can get to precisely the same destination by starting out in precisely opposite directions. So we should not condemn others just because their paths are different from us. Intolerance is a sign of ignorance, and intolerance is a sign of arrogance. So, tolerance is the second lesson that Jesus is teaching us today. The third lesson that Jesus teaches us today is the law of nature. That is, good begets good, and bad begets bad. Good brings good, bad brings bad. This is the universal law. Some would call it as reward and punishment. Any kindness is shown, even giving a cup of water will be rewarded. The fourth lesson is that every goal demands certain sacrifices. You have to be ready to forego, to sacrifice the stumbling blocks from our life. It may be your eye, hand, or foot. There is no gain without pain. At times, we are challenged to leave the unwanted physical and emotional baggages and attachments from our lives. Thus, the gospel of today, dear brothers and sisters, teaches us the four lessons to become great persons, to become great disciples in the eyes of God. Amen.